Hi folks, I'm Matt, and it's time for a board game review. Alright, it's time to review the final pandemic expansion to the main game called State of Emergency. It looks really cool. Let's see what it comes with. Well, it comes with several different games here. First off, it gives you several more purple cubes, which you'd see my petri dish is almost full here because I have all of the expansions and all of them come with purple cubes. So you're even going to have a few extra. I usually keep them in with blue or another one. Another thing it comes with is quarantine markers. These are really neat. If you see a city that maybe has 3 on there, like, ooh, I don't want that to outbreak, you can put a quarantine on it. So that means next time Santiago is picked, it doesn't get a cube, but the quarantine goes to 1. And then if it's picked again, the quarantine goes away, so the next one you would have to put one on there. But you do have quarantine markers. You play with 4 in the game that you can put at different places, and the rulebook's very clear on where and how to place them in that game. Another game is the Superbug game. Comes with these Superbug cards. Comes with these vaccination centers here, and vaccine that you can use to cure or treat, I should say, the Superbug. So you can actually treat it. These vaccination centers will pump out one of these babies per turn, and you can pick them up and treat a purple cube before you cure it. So that's kind of neat, and those are the cards for that game. Also, I've been very neglected to mention this because I keep forgetting, but Virulent Strains are just harder epidemic cards that they put in the deck. They started this back during the first expansion on the Brink, and so they just put some more in here. They had some for In the Lab, they have some for State of Emergency. So Virulent Strains just make the game a lot harder. So if the epidemics aren't hard enough, definitely get these and cry yourself to sleep at night. And then one thing that Pandemic State of Emergency does have is these emergency events. Some of them are real good, some of them really suck. So you would shuffle those, as you see, shuffle those in the deck for the points there. The big expansion, of course, by the way, I forgot to mention, it does have some other pawns. We'll go through those in just a moment. But the big expansion is the Hinterlands challenge here. And as you see, it's just extra boards. They're just attached. You know, they just slide right in there to the edges of the board. You got swine, monkeys, cows, hens, chickens, everything. And you see they get these little circle tokens. You put them on the cities where they can be affected. If you're playing in one of those cities, you actually go over to this board and you can start curing diseases from any of the animals here. But it involves an animal epidemic because it's kind of, the virus has gone to animals, you know, mutated again to animals. And before you pick cards, like usually at the end of the turn where you infect cities, before you do that now, you roll the die. And they suggest you put it on the top of the deck, and I do too. If you don't put it on the top of the deck, people are going to forget it because they're used to playing Pandemic the same way over and over. So you always put it on top of the deck so people remember to roll the die. I like how they put that in the rule book, because if they didn't put that, we would have forgotten too. So I guess in testing, everyone forgot to roll the die. So you roll the die. If it's nothing, hey, something good happens. Nothing. That's always good. But chicken, swine, you know, cow, monkey, then you have to put a cube, you know, in that area. So anyway, you also, on top of trying to cure all the infections, the diseases here, you also have to watch out for the animal outbreaks as well. So very interesting. So let's get to some of these cards here. First off, they do have an updated card for the medic. The medic, of course, does the same thing, but look at this. It says to remove Superbug cubes, you must also discard a vaccine dose and prevent them from being placed here. So you can actually throw that in there and get rid of all the, you know, purple cubes and have them not come back. So they kind of added something a little bit different to the medic for the Superbug challenge. All right, so other cards we have. We have the Gene Slicer. You may discover a cure at a research station in a city of a color by color being cured by turning in 2 city cards of the cure color plus 1 city card of each of the 3 other ones. So instead of, if you're doing playing with cards and the old way of 5 cards of the same color, all she needs is 2 cards of the same color and 1 card of each different color to solve it. So it's a little bit easier. I like that, especially when they're called the Gene Slicer. That's slicing all the viruses together and making a cure with it. Here's the kernel. Now when you enter a city with a 1 quarantine marker, you can flip it back over to a 2. So he fortifies those quarantine markers. That's really good. But wait, that's not all. As an action, you may discard a city card to place a quarantine marker on any city, not just the city you're in, on any city. So he's really good for that. And by the way, if you're playing with the Colonel, guess what? It says use all 6 quarantine markers. So you get a bonus 2 markers you can use in the game. We've played with the Colonel before. I tell you, that has come in handy because the more quarantine markers we can get out there, the better it is. The Veterinarian can only be used in the Hinterlands challenge. Other than that, the Veterinarian is useless because as an action at a research station, you may move to any Hinterland space, which is the ones here. So that's really cool though. So if I'm here in the lab, I can move to here or here or here, any of those spaces, because I am the Veterinarian. But also, in the Hinterland space, you can remove 2 cubes of an uncured disease when you treat the disease. So like if I'm over here, well, let's go over here with the cows, you know, that mad cow disease going on. Let's say there's 2 cubes there. Well, as one action, I can remove 2 at a time because I am, of course, the Veterinarian. So really cool. When we've played the Hinterlands Challenge, we on purpose picked this card because we wanted to see how he played, and very, very helpful in that challenge. We have the First Responder as an action. You can move to a city with a research station. So that's really neat. So if you're out looking around and you need to get back to the research station, as an action, you can automatically go back there. And then it says immediately after an epidemic, you may out of turn. So when someone pulls an epidemic card out of turn, you can move to that epidemic city and treat the disease before the infections. So you can go to one of these places and treat the disease before maybe an outbreak comes out. That is awesome. Great thinking, great idea. And another one I love is the Pharmacist. As an action, they can reveal a city card to treat a disease there. So like if I had this card, Essen. Okay, I'm going to play Essen. I can treat a disease automatically just by playing the card. Another one is, as an action, remove 1 cube of a cured disease from any city in the supply. So if we have cured blue, then what I can do as an action is I can cure Washington just by having the cure. The Pharmacist can be way over here, you know, in Jakarta. Hey, no, I'll cure it because it's been cured. That's one of my special abilities. I love the Pharmacist. So what do I think of the 3rd pandemic expansion state of emergency? I have to go with the general public here and say it is my least favorite of the 3. That's not saying it's bad. Because to be honest, the quarantine markers, they're okay. I like playing with those. We haven't gotten to play the vaccinated Superbug challenge yet. I do want to play that. It seems interesting, but that's really the only game out of those we haven't played. The special event ones, the emergency event ones, super fun. Those are super fun to play because you don't know if it's going to be good or bad. It can go for you or against you. And I want to like the Hinterlands challenge. We've played that the most because I'm trying to like it. It's okay. Just like every other reviewer says, it does play clunky. What would be something, though, to make it better? Because I like the idea of the virus spreading to animals. I love that idea. Maybe we should have got orange disease cubes, you know, and make it a different strain that affects animals. Maybe that would have made it just a little bit more interesting, I think. How? I don't know. I just like to see more diseases on the board. You know, so orange cubes, that would be awesome. But the way they did it, the thought process that went into it, I understand what their thinking was, but the gameplay is a little clunky on that one. This is the one that's made it to the table the least out of all the expansions. Not to say we don't play it, we do play it, but not as much as the other 2 expansions. So should you get it? I'm torn here. If Pandemic is one of your favorite games, then yes, you should, of course, get State of Emergency. I think it's for you. If Pandemic's a game that you like, it's okay, you play it every once in a while, you know, maybe you got the other expansion, you had fun with it, but you just don't know if it's worth it, then don't get it, okay? It's not necessary, especially as another expansion. If you had to buy one expansion, I'd say get on the brink, you know, or in the lab. I wouldn't say State of Emergency would be your first choice. It should be rightfully your 3rd and final choice. But again, that's not saying it's bad. It's okay. It's several different games wrapped in one big box. So for that reason, you know, I do enjoy it, but it's only for the hardcore lovers of Pandemic. All right, gamers, that's it for now. Till next time, game on!